U.S. Farm Report weather is brought to you by H&S Manufacturing. H&S high-capacity rakes feature independent rake beams that have the flexibility to flex 3 feet up or 3 feet down. Available in 12, 14, and 16 wheel sizes, there are no restrictions even when raking the heaviest of crops. Find out more at the H&S website.
Time now for a check of weather. Meteorologist Andrew Whitmire joins us now with weather this weekend. Andrew, a new year and a new winter storm that blasted the U.S. this week, and it sounds like it's not over yet.
And really, the storm that has been out west is all thanks to this Pineapple Express that extends from the Hawaiian Islands all the way across to the kind of the Pacific West here. And again, this Pineapple Express, it gets its name from, again, extending towards Honolulu all the way over, again, towards the west coast here. It's what we call an atmospheric river, stretching over 4,000 miles, and it brings with it intense waves of moisture that, again, just kind of pinpoints and sits over an area. Sometimes it could be 1 to 3 days, and sometimes it can be as long as 2 or more weeks. And it does look like, again, we're going to be dealing with this moisture here as we go throughout the next several days. In fact, just look at the rainfall amount here through next week. The northern half of California is going to be inundated with rain. In fact, they could be looking at a foot or more of rainfall across parts of northern California. Meanwhile, the central and southern half of the state likely going to be measuring upwards close to, could be around a half a foot of rain in some locations. And this is certainly going to help ease the drought conditions. The only bad news with this, though, kind of too much too fast, as well as not much of this rain is going to work its way into the Colorado River. Walking through the precipitation January 7th through the 12th, again, we're going to keep those deep greens out west well above average for precipitation. Meanwhile, not much expected throughout the central and Midwestern and Great Lake states, kind of staying in a kind of a neutral phase, and we'll be watching a few systems that could bring with it a few more scattered showers, which could bring precipitation at or just slightly above average here for parts of the east coast. Going on forward into next week, January 12th through the 18th, notice again we still keep that Pineapple Express out west. I think that'll eventually start to break on down as we head closer towards the mid portion here of January, finally giving those folks some relief. Looking at the drought monitor here, released on January 5th, and we zoom on into California. Notice how we still have those reds, but we kind of lose those deep reds, meaning that the exceptional drought is no more right now across California. And we're likely going to see significant improvements out west with next week's outlook. Meanwhile, the heartland of the country here is still needing that moisture. We're still seeing that exceptional drought out there for parts of western and the southern half of Kansas. Let's take a look at the root zone map, which did take into account the moisture that was received over the past few days for California. Those deeper blues showing up there. Again, they're being inundated with rain, and in some locations, a little bit too much rain too fast. Let's look at our jet stream pattern here. As we go throughout this week, we've kind of got a zonal west to east pattern taking shape here throughout much of the country, bringing quiet weather. Meanwhile, out west, we continue that Pineapple Express, but it does look like by next weekend, we'll start to kind of see this upper level ridge beginning to build, and that could take aim across much of the country here by next weekend, with allowing temperatures across much of the lower 48 to remain at or above average.
Thanks, Andrew. Well, extreme volatility again this week in the market. So is it mainly South American weather, or is there more to the market story? Tommy Grisafi and Brian Splitt join me next to break it all down.